Thank you for joining us. If you could please, I already see some of you are turning your cameras on, so if you could do that, that would be nice. And you should have joined muted, but if you are not, please just make sure that button is clicked, just because while we're signing on, that's a lot of different noises coming from a lot of different places. So why don't we start with typing in the chat where you are calling in from. We're really curious.
And welcome, I'm Julia. I partner with Ruby on Tradition Kitchens, along with Brianna, who's another ambassador who's here. If anybody wants to unmute, we welcome that. Ruby, I was thinking we could do a quick kitchen cam for a couple people as we're waiting for everyone to join. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, kitchen cam is like the kiss cam at a ballpark, but you're on your own and you're waving. So get ready. I'm going to put you on gallery view so I can see everyone's excited faces. So LaShanta, heads up, you are going to be spotlighted. Say hi, unmute, tell us where you're calling in from. Love your enthusiasm.
Hi, I'm LaShanta. I was trying to type it in, but I was too slow. Oh, wait, unmute myself.
No, you're unmute. You're good.
Okay. Hi, my name is LaShanta. I'm actually in Oxon Hill, Maryland, which is about 4 miles south of Washington, D.C.
Amazing. Welcome.
I used to live in Annandale.
Oh, I love Annandale. They have very good Korean food and Vietnamese food in Annandale. Very good food.
Love it. Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Let's spotlight kitchen cam. Beth, say hello. Tell us where you're calling in from.
I'm in Pacifica, California. I'm right next to the beach. Wow. So I can look out and see the surfers. It's a blue sky day, actually.
Very cool. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
We have some familiar faces, some new faces. Let's see. Who shall we say hello to next? Oh, how about Pamela coming at you? Say hi on kitchen cam.
Hey.
Hi, where are you calling in from? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. This is what happens when we mute everyone.
I'm from upstate New York.
Where?
I'm working on my mise en place.
Oh, amazing. What part of upstate New York? We have a few people.
Near Cooperstown. It's in the foothills of the Catskills.
Yeah. Cool.
We have a lot of snow.
I bet. Yeah. Wow. Karon and I actually met in Ithaca, New York, also in upstate New York, many moons ago.
It's
so
a beautiful
great to have you. Yeah, so pretty, so pretty. All right, I think we have time for 1 or 2 more. I'm just looking to see who else we want to welcome. I'm gonna go over to Deborah. And I love your apron. Say hi. Tell us where you're from. Don't forget to unmute.
Well, hi. Am I not unmuted?
Yeah, you're good. You're
Can
good.
you hear me?
Yes.
Can you?
We hear you.
Okay. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, actually Alpharetta. And you can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Yep.
This is my second class with you, and I've really enjoyed them, so I came back today.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you. Thanks for being here. And
thank you.
I'm also in it.
Thank you very much.
Ruby, how many participants are we at?
I see 84.
Amazing. All right, do we have time for maybe one more kitchen cam? I'm just gonna quickly look and see. We're expecting a few more people. We wanna also use this opportunity to invite some of you to turn on your video, but it's okay wherever you are. We welcome you. Let's see, I'm just looking. This is like the Brady Bunch. I see Grevs. I'm gonna spotlight you. Would you like to say hello?
Hello. So it's G Revs. It's my first initial part of my last name. I'm from Monroe, Connecticut, where it's very snowy outside. And I'm very excited to be here. It's my first class.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
All right, Ruby, should we start with some intros and just like Zoom 101 for anyone as we're joining the class?
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome everybody. If I can direct your attention to the top right corner, you can find a little button that says view, and if you click on it, you can click on speaker or gallery view. And something we like to do is, click into gallery view because that will show you all the participants and you can see that everyone's fun faces. And we will also do a little thing called spotlighting. So while we're actually doing the cooking demo, you'll be able to see the screen a little bit larger. So that's a little bit of orientation there. And then down in kind of the direction panel, there are buttons at the bottom left. One says mute, another says stop video. So those are the ones that you would press that button. So obviously you'll be able to talk if you're ever in that position. And then if you are able to turn on your camera, it's totally okay if you can't, but if you can, we would appreciate if you do. You can press start and stop video for that. And we have something fun called reactions, and there are lots of little different things that you can put that will show up in the little corner of your screen. I'll demonstrate with the heart. And if you guys want to start clicking some of those reactions, that's a great way. So when we're on mute, we can react and interact with each other. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of things. Party, thumbs up, laughing, crying, very exciting. And yeah, I think that's a good little Zoom 101 lesson we have happening here. So.
Great. Now we started a little tradition to have everyone meet each other just for the first like 4 minutes of class. So we're going to ask you to quickly turn on your cameras for this section. We really want you all to just chat with each other. We're going to put you into breakout rooms and then you're going to come back. But when you go to the room, just say hi, where you're from. Ruby will explain in a couple minutes that community is so important to us. And so we want you all to just know who you're cooking with. So get to know your virtual kitchens. So hang on with us. You will be placed in these rooms on your own, and then magically you will come back. So there will be 3 to 4 participants per room. I'm going to create them, open them, and invite you to go to your room, say hello, get to meet your fellow Tradition Kitchen friends. All right, welcome back. Thanks everyone. We hope you enjoyed time in the breakout rooms. Got a chance to meet. Yes?
I realized
Oh.
when you when you were saying to us what we're gonna do in the breakout rooms, you clicked open when you were in the middle of talking to everybody.
Oh, that happens a lot. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah. Well, we were just so excited to have everybody go and chat with one another and meet each other. So we hope you had meaningful conversations and connections. We're waiting for everyone to come back. And Ruby, are you back in the main room? I'm looking for you. Let's see. Not yet. She's coming. Okay. I see Abigail, her sister. So hopefully she'll be coming. Okay. Let's see. And is Karan back? All right, looks like some people got, oh, there's Karan. Okay, fabulous. Ruby, before we officially get started, we have 2 more things on our agenda. I know everyone's hungry and eager to move forward. What is our other second tradition that we love to do? The selfie? Shall we take one?
Yes, I think we should. That was a really enthusiastic yes. You guys can tell I'm ready for the selfie. So, a selfie is kind of what it sounds like. It's a Zoom selfie. So we just like to take a little snapshot of all the folks that have so wonderfully joined us tonight. So if everyone, again, this is last call to turn on your camera if you're able to and you haven't. If everyone would like to do that and then smile, we will take a few snapshots of everyone for coming. So why doesn't everyone smile and I can count us down? Julia, will you be snapping them or should I?
I'll snap, you count.
Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Got one snap. Now I got to go to the next screen. Oh, some of you are breaking my heart. Elizabeth, Sharon, Diane, Patricia. Come on, love to see your smiles just for the selfie. Oh, there we go. All right, 3. Oh wait, Ruby, you're counting. All right, you count.
3, 2, 1.
Fabulous. I got them. Okay, I think we're ready for our main event. Thanks everyone for the fun commercials. Before I turn it over to Ruby back, who will introduce Karan and our class, and just a couple of changes if you've been to our events before, we just want to let people know about in terms of our chat. I just want to say that this class is really extra special. All of our classes are special, of course, but I'm really grateful. Karan is someone who I have known for many years. We met in college. We were both RAs together, and I just adore her, and I'm so glad that we're going to learn from her today. So just working on the spotlight, but I just want to give that shout out to Karan. Appreciate you so much, and Ruby helped make all of this happen. So I'm going to turn it back to Ruby for run of show, and appreciate her leadership so much for tonight. So back to Ruby.
Thank you, Julia. So I'm just going to officially welcome everyone really quickly and just give a few words about Tradition Kitchens. So welcome everyone tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. So a little bit of background on Tradition Kitchens. We are originally an Atlanta-based organization that begun doing cooking classes in person. This kind of launched before the world kind of shut down, but so enough to do these classes in person with awesome locals that were sharing their recipes. And then, of course, we were unable to safely cook together, and that's where I came in, where we started to launch these Zoom classes. And now kind of the silver lining of this experience has been to really expand who is able to join and cook along with us. It's obviously sad that we can't all be in a room together. That would be so amazing to be able to cook and, you know, share the experiences. But it's really awesome because part of our values is connectivity and bringing everyone together from different age groups, different places, all walks of life. It's really important for us to, you know, share food, share experiences, history, and culture. That's really what we're all about. And, you know, our story, the story of our wonderful teachers, and your stories. So welcome everybody. Just briefly, some frequently asked questions that I'll answer right now. We will be sending out a recording of the class afterwards. And as you can see, it's recording right now. And we will also be releasing the recipe. So those you will be able to access after the class once we are able to get that up. And I'm going to be sending you a document in the chat very soon, which has the recipes in it and you should only be able to view it, and I'll edit it, and there we can put more frequently asked questions so that we don't have to, sometimes people have the same question and didn't, it's hard to keep up with the chat sometimes. So we're just going to have these frequently asked questions kind of accessible through this document.
Yeah, just a quick note. So in previous classes, we have had the chat open to all, but we've had so many of the same questions that it's been distracting that we've had to turn off chat. So you can message Ruby or me directly any questions you have, and we will put answers into the Google Doc that Ruby is going to share for everyone to see, and it's set for open access. So no worries if you have questions. If it's an emergency and you don't know how much to put, we can unmute, but we want to be respectful to our teacher and the order of important cooking steps. So everyone click that Google Doc. You're able to access it if you have a Gmail account, or not, it's open to everyone. And back to Ruby.
So yeah, that should open the link to it, and that will be able to help us make sure this class is running smoothly and everyone has what they need. All right, so I think now is as good a time as any to kind of transition over to the cooking demo. So I think without further ado, unless Julia has anything you want to throw in? Okay, I would like to transition it over to our wonderful chef to say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. I don't think it's good morning anywhere. It is an absolute pleasure, thrill, honor to be here tonight. I'm coming to you all from Silver Spring, Maryland. So I think, where's LaShonta? I'm down the road, just down the road a little bit. Welcome to my kitchen. I've got my unity flag up in honor of Black History Month. And I am going to walk you down the journey of making fried chicken tenders. And I should say, disclaimer, I'm an adjunct instructor, also part-time. And one of the things about me is that when you come to my lecture, it's gonna be a little bit different from my notes. So when you have the notes and you stick with your notes, that's fine. But when you come to the lecture, you learn a little bit more and some other little tips and tricks. So I've added a few things if you wanna grab a pen and paper, because I do add and we'll share some things that are not necessarily written down. I'm a true Southern chef. Well, cook. I'm a home cook. And we don't really do well with writing down things. So I got it on paper, but you might want to get a little pen, because I'm going to tell you some little things and some other switch outs. If there's anybody that has any health things they want to consider, I say things, if you're considering, maybe I'll have a meatless Monday. How can I switch this out to make this meatless? Or any other considerations, or I don't have this ingredient, what can I swap it for? I've got you. And even some more cooking tips. So I'm going to show you actually how to prepare this more than just putting it in the oven. You can still do that, and we're still going to do it all these ways, but we have time. So I'm going to show you some tricks and things. So keep that in mind. So given that it's Black History Month, and I was thrilled when Julia emailed me and said, what can we do and tie in Black History Month? And I thought about it. I asked, my family, I asked some friends, I said, how can I talk about food in Black History Month? And I thought about it. And the first thing that came to mind were the Freedom Riders and the sit-ins and all of the movement around the Civil Rights Movement and what exactly was happening during that time. And then I thought, okay, so let's go down this rabbit hole a bit more and think about what role did food play in all of this. So I started with the remembrance of when they were freedom riders and they were going to protest, they being activists, I should say, students, adults, whoever was involved in the activity of civil rights, they would give them fried chicken and oftentimes cornbread and biscuits, because when you're on a bus and you're on a bus ride to, for example, the march in 1963, you needed something to eat. The chicken would keep. And quite frankly, fried chicken tastes good cold and hot. And the biscuits or cornbread would last, because again, it was bread. And you can make it in large quantities. So I thought, okay, so there's more of a story here. There's more that I need to do my own homework on. So I did a little bit of research, and some of this I actually found that I already knew, but some of it was new to me. So I wanted to make sure I shared this piece before we dive into the cooking. So the history of soul food, I think, is critical in understanding not only African American history, but just in general history, if you're interested in understanding how food came to be what it is. So soul food emerged out of slavery, the slavery era. And African Americans, well, at that time enslaved Africans, were only given the lowest quality of produce and meats to eat. So they had to either grow what they were going to eat, or they had to just make whatever they were given work. Even after slavery ended, because we still had several iterations of emancipation, but even after that, there still was not a lot of opportunity to get the highest quality meat because they didn't have a lot of income. So they grew and made things from scratch and worked with what they had. So that emerged out of a culture of utilizing what tools you have, what resources you have to make things taste good. And moving forward now to civil rights era, there were several convening spots across the country where great leaders such as Dr. King, Julian Bond, the late NAACP leader. And I'm going to go through my notes in a second, but there were several spots across the country that were pivotal in convening spots where people planned and met and organized. So because I'm from Atlanta, and Julia will appreciate this, I wanted to just highlight some of these spots very briefly and talk about their significance in the civil rights era. So those of you in Atlanta, if you've never been, and I will admit, I haven't been to this area in a while, but I go home, I just go to my parents' house, but there's a restaurant in Atlanta that's near the Atlanta University Center. It's called Pascal's. And Pascal's was a huge historical site where Dr. King, those of you that are more familiar with Atlanta leaders, Dr. Ralph David Abernathy, Andrew Young, and the late Congressman John Lewis, they would meet at Pascal's to strategize. And a lot of the planning for the March on Washington occurred at Pascal's. Pascal's was not only a restaurant, but it was also a hotel. So people could stay there. And that was one of the few places that at that time, African Americans were allowed to stay. It has now 3 locations, and they moved it to Castleberry. But I think if you drive down, or at least last time I checked, you can still see where the original Pascal's is located. And the food is good. I remember a mentor of mine taking me there and telling me, you need to sit here, you need to understand the significance of this location, because this is where a lot of strategy was happening. So now we're going to move to where I am. And actually, I knew that this location was significant, but I didn't know how significant until I started learning a little bit more. But Ben's Chili Bowl here in DC, well, I'm in the DC area, but in DC, Washington, D.C., in the U Street corridor was another location where leaders would gather and plan and strategize. And I should also emphasize that it was a haven for many of the people to come. It was oftentimes a place where they made sure that people that were in town for the marches and activism were fed. They would often feed them. A little side note about Pascal's, be it that it is located in Atlanta, and at the time, there's a lot of activism going on. Many of the students that went to Clark Atlanta, Spelman, Morehouse, Morris Brown, if they were arrested, Pascal's would feed them and take care of them during that time. So yeah, Ben's Chili Bowl here, it's well known. They were, again, another haven for social activists to gather and congregate. Another spot is in Memphis. Have actually never been to this one spot. It's called the 4-Way Restaurant. And it was actually a pool hall originally, founded in 1946. And then eventually it opened up to a restaurant with about 45 seats. And it was one of the few places in Memphis at the time that Black and white people could congregate together over a meal. And they were known for their fried chicken. Dr. King also attended or patronized this restaurant, and Jesse Jackson, Rosa Parks came here, Al Green, the famous singer. They all came and they were part of having discussions and were in this restaurant in Memphis. It closed in 1996. Sorry, not, yeah, 1996. And it was reopened by another owner to keep the tradition of that restaurant alive. And the last restaurant I want to highlight is one of my other favorite cities, is called Dookie Chase in New Orleans. And I did not know the origin of the name until recently, but Dookie Chase is named after Edgar Dookie Chase, who was a famous jazz musician. So his wife opened it up. And again, this was another spot where people could congregate. It was actually, interesting enough, one of the first considered fine dining establishments for African Americans, but it was also a gallery. So people were able to hang their artwork and have a nice meal at the same time. They're also known, because it's in New Orleans, for their seafood gumbo, po' boys, and things like that. Again, Dr. King visited there. Thurgood Marshall and the Freedom Riders. Freedom Riders, again, as I mentioned at the top of this, they were the ones that attended, well, they were riding around, doing sit-ins and demonstrations. And this restaurant, Dookie Chase, would feed them, again, chicken and things. The owner of the restaurant actually passed away very recently, very, very recently, but it's still a landmark, still there. So I wanted to make sure I had that context for you all before we begin. And we get started. So I have two screens. So I'm going to try to, so you're not just seeing me and my headshot, but you're also seeing what I'm doing as I'm preparing. So a couple of things, and I think I'm gonna grab some things and come back, but I'm gonna put one there. So I cheated a little bit. I should have, again, this is why you come to the lecture. I should have told you all, but this is a lesson for next time you do this. Soak your chicken in buttermilk. I am, again, of the Southern tradition of brining and soaking before you fry. So it's a little orange. I don't know if you can tell by the color. It's a little orange because I added some hot sauce. I cannot recall, it might have been Elton Brown. I can't remember which chef I learned this from. It doesn't make it hot. Does not make it hot, does not make it spicy. It adds a little bit of flavor, but soak your chicken in buttermilk. And since we're making biscuits, you should have some left over. And I'm going to teach you another trick with just using the buttermilk and not necessarily using the egg. So for example, if you are, I know people that have egg allergies. If you cannot use the egg, you could actually do your chicken with just this, the flour and the breading, or even just the panko. So I wanted to start there and tell you all that. Now, is that going to make your chicken any less good? No, trust me, because their tenders are not going to be dry. This is the whole point of getting that cut. If you bought tenders already cut, hey, if you want to cut them yourselves, that's fine too. This recipe is good with not only chicken tenders, the actual cut chicken tenders, but also, you can use chicken thighs, because you don't want anything too thick. If you use something like a whole breast, you want to break it down. I would recommend breaking it down because you want to make sure you're cooking it long enough. And the cooking time to change based on that. Something else I did recently, hold on. Something else I did recently that I wanted to make sure you all knew. I did this, and I posted a video on Instagram because I was so excited. I did the same recipe with oyster mushrooms, and it was delicious. Absolutely the most wonderful thing. I didn't have to use the buttermilk. I just did the breading with the oyster mushrooms, same thing. So if you're looking for a meatless Monday, I just want to put this shameless plug in there. I don't get any perks from telling you all about oyster mushrooms, but so with that, I hope you all are ready. I'm going to move. Let's see if I can turn myself around, but I'm going to move so that you all, and don't pay attention to my messy kitchen. No, we'll have to do this for now. I'm going to move to my second station. So you see, I have the chicken marinating in the buttermilk and hot sauce. I have my tongs. My oven is already preset to 450. So if you haven't already done that, do that. Although I am going to do, again, if you come to the lecture, you learn more. I am going to do another way of preparing it, actually 2 more ways of preparing these. So I have my chicken. I have here my paprika, garlic powder, and I decided I wanted a little bit more heat. I added some red pepper chili flakes, whatever. Don't have to. If you like a little extra, why not? So I wanted to make sure I saw that. That's my paprika and my garlic powder, garlic, onion salt, and all these good things. You can actually season this however you want. However you feel you want to season chicken, that's fine. I do recommend these. I know that there are the chicken seasoning from like McCormick and all those, and those are a little more earthy. If you want more of a Thanksgiving type taste, if you will. But I recommend considering some red pepper flakes if not. So that's going in to my flour. I actually put my salt and pepper in my flour already. And the reason why is because I want to make sure that I can show you all as opposed to falling behind myself. Something to note, and I will say, I normally do not use baggies. I would, go green and use a flat plate or something, but it's okay if you use baggies. You don't have to. You can use bowls. I often do that. But for my purposes, because I was, obviously wanting to make sure I had everything ready for everybody, I'm using baggies for all of my dredging and breading and things like that. So into my flour goes my mixture that I have here. Let's see. And I think I already know what someone's going to ask. What if you use cayenne? That's up to you. Cayenne does add more heat than obviously the smoked paprika or the red pepper chili flakes are enough, but they won't necessarily overpower it. Now, if you are like my brother who loves hot food, have at it, but I wouldn't do that. The other reason why I decided to use baggies is because it helps with mixing. And I'm also making a little bit more than you all are making. So mixing this up in my baggie. I also have my eggs already cracked them and just mix them together so that that's ready to go. Put this out the way. Close that so it doesn't spill out. And let's talk breadcrumbs. So it's the new year. Well, I mean, it's February. It's still considered New Year. I found some wheat breadcrumbs. These are panko. Don't go rushing around trying to find wheat. If you can't find wheat, just use regular. If you have some good quality cornmeal and you don't like panko, that is another swap out. I just like the crunch of panko. I know that a lot of Southern chefs like cornflakes. I actually think they're a little too sweet. Just for my taste, I prefer a more neutral taste that I can season myself. So if you have regular panko, if you have whole wheat, whatever, again, cornmeal also works. Make sure you're finding good cornmeal though, because I've learned that all cornmeal is not created equal. So yeah, that's another swap out. Alrighty, so now I've got my pan, as you can see here, over to on the stove. So it's two options here. I don't know what happened, but there was a parchment shortage in the world earlier this year. I have some now, but if you don't have parchment, it's okay. You can use aluminum foil. It works just as well. I have both, but I'm going to use some parchment this time. And if you don't actually have parchment, it is okay. It just means, honestly, you're going to have to do a little bit more scrubbing later on. But parchment is good. Foil is also good. When I roast veggies, I put aluminum foil down. So it's up to you. Actually, now that I'm getting ready to touch food, I'm going to wash my hands very quickly. I hope everyone's doing good so far. All right. I'm meticulous about keeping my hands relatively clean in the kitchen. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and line our tray. I actually got this from the dollar store. That's the only place I could find it. But again, you don't have to use parchment paper. You can use foil if need be. And set yourself up what I call a dredging station. Actually, let's see. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to grab a plate for myself so that I have a little bit more of a base. So normally, again, I think I mentioned I would use something like this to do my little 3 setup station, but I'm going to use it now for to kind of hold the flour in place and the egg in place. You might run out of egg. It's okay. You can just add another one. I went ahead and mixed up several. So here's the fun part. If you have kids, this is probably great for them as well. Grab your chicken. I'm gonna grab more than one. I'm gonna grab about 2 pieces. I don't like to do about the whole bag. I think that's a little too much, but grab a piece or 2. And we're going into our flour first. And the beautiful thing about this type of setup is you can close it and shake it. I thought about getting some paper bags. There's a history, I don't know the origin of it, but there's a history of using paper bags to shake up the flour for fried chicken. I don't know the origin, but it works because it helps evenly distribute the ingredients onto the chicken. So for the egg, you want to just dip it, make sure it's coated on both sides, and then we're going to put it in our breadcrumbs. Make sure I get a good hand grab on this. Alrighty. You can add additional seasoning to your breadcrumbs. I don't think it's necessary, but that's up to preference. And I'm going to shake this up a little bit. It's all going down. The other benefit of using disposable bags is that when you're done, you're done. You don't have to worry about cross-contaminating anything. And move this out the way. We are done with our first chicken tender. It goes on our baking sheet, as you all can see. So here we go. I want to make sure it's stretched out depending on the piece. So I'm going to get going, doing a few more, and I'm happy to answer any questions while I continue dredging and.
Yeah. Karan, I think we've been getting Ruby and I have been fielding a couple questions. I think we might want to ask you some of those. Some people are wondering about hot sauce recommendations. Do you?
So let's see. I mean, if you are in certain parts of the country, certain people swear by certain brands. I will not show you the label on the one that I purchased because it's not a popular brand, but I know Red Rooster is a well-known brand. Let's see, what is another well-known brand of hot sauce? I mean, I wouldn't do anything that you would not normally consume, if that makes any sense. You don't go out and try to find an exotic one. I have never tried using sriracha. I do have a treat for you all. I am going to make a sriracha sauce and tell you a funny story while I'm making it for dipping. I never used sriracha in the buttermilk, but whichever. I mean, again, I just used one that I found at Aldi, I'm going to be honest, because that was what I was available to me at the time. But good question. That's fine.
And then Ruby, were there any others you wanted to specifically shout out? I think some people wanted to know chicken tenders. Is that better than chicken breast? And one other one was around, yeah, I think that was one. And then I'll ask Ruby.
So essentially the tenders are breasts cut up in the strips. Sorry, I didn't put my apron on. I'm excited about this apron for a while. It's not necessarily better, one better or the other. I like the tenders just because they're already there, they're already cut up. But I have been a graduate student. I understand that sometimes the chicken breast is cheaper. So you can also do that as well. No real difference. With the, if you got a whole breast, just make sure you cut it so that you're not getting this big chunk of meat, because you would have to cook it longer, adjust the cooking times, and you don't want to burn your chicken at the same time. So keep that in mind.
Could we sneak in one more question? We had a few questions about like soaking in buttermilk. So we had both how much should you use / how long?
How much? So let's see. I have 2 bags of tenders. I used, where's my container? I used a quart for about, I guess there's about 1.5 pounds of chicken tenders in here, or 2 pounds. There's no wrong. You want to at least cover the chicken. It doesn't have to be drenched in it, but if you use a lot, it's not really going to make a difference. I feel like I have over buttermilked my chicken. I have under buttermilked my chicken. I feel like, so I don't think it matters. I think that if you have it, it's great. If you don't have buttermilk, you can always use lemon and milk or vinegar. There's, I don't want to steer you wrong on the measurements, but there are recipes for, in a pinch, when you don't have buttermilk, you can switch that out. So again, for my purposes, I just covered it, and I don't have much use for buttermilk other than these 2 recipes. And if I was making hoe cakes, so go all out, use it all, on whatever chicken. I would say, actually, you could make these 2 together with one. Let's see, I did a quart. Yeah, so you can make these because you only need 2/3. Measure your buttermilk out for your biscuits, and then you're good to go. So, all right. So you all are doing that. I'm not going to do all of my chicken this way just yet. I want to show you some other quick tricks, just depending on your mood, especially if it gets hot. One day when we're able to go back outside again and you want to make something, but you don't want to you don't want to, heat up the house too much. Oops, I'm gonna put that back in there. You can also do this on the stove. And the other thing that I'm going to show you, I'm just going to do a few more of these and I'll pop these in the oven. For those of you that have an air fryer, this is a great air fryer recipe. I actually did the oysters that I mentioned. I did those in the air fryer as well. I'm just going to do a few more to be conscious of time. And the other thing is, you can also do this on the stove. So let us do just a few more. I'm gonna do 1 or 2 more, and I'm gonna pop these in the oven. I have done this with my fingers. It gets very messy, but this is kind of at least containing the mess a little bit. And using the tongs helps a lot, obviously, as well. I'm gonna do 1 more, and then I'm gonna stop for now.
Sorry, can I jump in one more time to ask another question really quick?
Absolutely.
So we had a question about like a little tip for what's like the best way to cut the chicken breast into the strips.
You need a good knife. Good knife. I would, if I had a breast, I could show you. A good sized breast should make about 3 strips, I would say. At least that's when I've done it in the past. A breast is about 3 strips, I would say. You want to cut them down. A chicken breast is. Let me actually use these as an example. Give me 1 minute. Let me see. And then I'm going to stop with that. And I'm actually going to show you all another shortcut for those nights when you just don't feel like doing the triple dredge. You can also double dip, by the way. That's a little more effort. I don't always feel like doing it. But let's pop these in because we also got to get ready to make our biscuits. And don't mind me. Alexa, set a timer for 20 minutes. Do not mind me. I love Alexa. My roommate that does not pay any bills. Okay. Let's see. Let me grab a chicken breast for you so you can see. So you can see, generally a chicken breast is like rounder and then it gets narrow as it goes down. I don't know how to best to lay it out. And then a whole breast is the same thing. So I would cut into strips that way, just from the fat part, the fattest part down into 3 different strips, if that helps. All right. So now I'm making a mess, but it's okay. Now we're going to do another way of cooking this. I love my air fryer. Let's say I get home, I share with you all I teach part-time. I get home, starving, don't have time. I need to eat something and then get back on and do more work or get on another meeting or another call. I love my air fryer. So what I would do, first of all, I learned this trick from a person on Instagram. Put foil in your air fryer. It will not cause a problem. Just to line the bottom, helps with cleanup. Just making a little, if you have one of the fancier ones that have the nice little drawers that come out, good for you. I'm just lining the bottom. And I'm going to do a shortcut on some of these. So instead of, let me bring this closer. So instead of doing the triple dredge with the flour and the egg, I'm just going to use the buttermilk and stick it right on in my breadcrumbs. This is where, honestly, I rely on a good sauce to help make my meal a little bit more seasoned, if you will. You can season the breadcrumbs in this case. Again, I am not a heavy seasoning person, if you will. I tend to, if I need to add a little something, I'll add a little something at the end. That's also an option, and I can show you. But I'm going to clean off my tongs a little bit. The reason why I don't like using my fingers, as you can see, it gets pretty thick when you do the triple dredge. I'm going to wipe that off in a second. I have another pair of tongs. But I'm going to air fry these for about 20 minutes in just the panko and the buttermilk. It gets a nice little coating on it, as you can see. Doesn't take much. Normally I would close the bag. I'm being super cautious, but normally I would close the bag. So no, I'm not just being cavalier. I'm shaking it up. And I'm going to put this in my air fryer. I got a few more in here. I only did 2. I'm gonna do a couple more so that we can use up the whole bag. And this is, I'm almost done. Okay. This is, if you have kids that want to learn how to cook and you don't want them using the oven or turning the oven on, air fryers are safe. They have timers on them. You can teach them this trick too. Keep my buttermilk from spilling out everywhere. All right.
I just want to take a quick pause and see the people who are cooking along with us. How is it going? We want to check in and see. I see some thumbs up from Beth over there. Anyone have an urgent question that you would like to ask? We're getting some in the chat, so we're quickly monitoring them and getting back to you. Okay. Ruby and I just learned that we're both not seeing the same questions. So if we're a little slow in getting back to you, we apologize. So Karan, quick question. If breading is coming off, how do we fix that when someone's cooking?
If breading is coming off, so a couple things you can do. Take a little bit at the end and drizzle it on top. Literally just take, if you have not the one that you've been dredging in, but if you have some fresh panko, just drizzle it on the top at the end. It'll crisp up. Sorry, my dog is jumping up. I don't know what's going on. It'll crisp up along with the chicken. So you can just dredge a little bit on the top at the end.
Great.
That becomes a concern. Speaking of that, let me make sure I get, and this would be the healthier option. Well, this is also a healthy option. This is healthier than cooking on stove. Putting a little olive oil on top of my chicken tenders that are going in the air fryer. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. It does matter with browning. Well, I've learned. So just a little bit of olive oil. And honestly, at the end, when these are done, you can also do a couple of things to season them up. So putting these in my air fryer. I have a chicken button. And I have a 20 minutes. We'll see which one comes out better. Alrighty. So I've got a mess over here, but let me move that out so we can start talking about our biscuits, and which won't take as long. And I will put these in the refrigerator and make the rest of these later. Actually, so back to the buttermilk question, you can brine. So brining is the, salt mixture that you can do one night. Actually, there's a restaurant in Atlanta that recommends a 3-day cooking process for chicken, fried chicken of any kind, not just tenders, of any kind. There's a salt brine, there's the buttermilk brine, and then there's the actual cooking day. So it's actually a 3-day process. I definitely co-sign on you have to, you don't have to, but it is a wonderful experience with any part of the chicken when you brine it in buttermilk and with chicken. But if you don't do the brine, I actually don't do brining very often. And actually, you can buy pre-brined chickens. I know Trader Joe's has them. You can just do the buttermilk. And if you have little time, I've done it as little as 30 minutes before. And honestly, if you don't, it is okay. It'll still come out tasty, but I've done it for half an hour and it still comes out pretty well. So I'm going to get my little station cleaned up a little bit and get ready for the biscuits.
While you're doing that, can I bring in some more questions?
Absolutely, I'm listening.
So, do you have any advice if someone is going to be cooking stovetop for the chicken tenders?
I'm glad you asked that because I do. And let's see. If we have, I think we will. I will save some of this and we'll do that momentarily. I'll actually do it with you, or I'll actually do it. I'm gonna clear that out, but yeah, it's easy. It's pretty easy on the stove. Very easy. And I know, I have the concern about have I cooked it enough? There's nothing wrong with sticking a little fork in it just to make sure. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so now let's get situated. My dog has decided she wants to join in on the fun. Clean off our station for a little quick second change of room. And don't mind me, my sink is right here, so I'm swiping it all off to the sink. And I'm gonna wash my hands and get started. How are we doing with our chicken, everybody? Everybody in the oven, or are we any concerns about it? I can't see reactions. I hope people are okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think they're doing great. Ruby, any key questions we need to call out, or anyone we want to spotlight at all?
Yeah, we just got, what is the temperature for the air fryer?
At 380, 370, 375. I just pushed my chicken button. So it comes up as 380 on my end. So I would do no less than 375 for at least 20 minutes. Air fryer is a little tricky, so I would just watch it and then make sure it doesn't burn. And then if you need to, generally they're pretty good with the amount of time. So if you need to, you could add more time.
And then we have a question for the brine. Do you recommend rinsing the chicken after?
I thought you were gonna say before, there's a huge discussion about washing chicken. So I was like, I don't want to tell anybody how to prepare your chicken. Some people wash before, some people don't wash. It comes out of the package. It's a huge debate, public health wise too. But regarding the brine, you really don't need to wash it off, because essentially what would happen is you're going to put it into the buttermilk. And if you're, depending on, I'm trying to think, if you had a vessel, maybe like, no, you need something bigger than that. You need a pretty big vessel to brine the chicken, maybe like my bowl here, and it, depending on how big your chicken is. Again, you can do this with chicken parts too. So if you were brining, let's say you're brining some chicken breast, you could take those, just take those out of the liquid. You don't need to necessarily wash it off. And it's going, then you're going to put it in the buttermilk. And then that'll be a step. And then you're going to cook it the next day. That makes some sense. All righty. So I am a little ahead of you all in that I went ahead and set up my flour. Now I will say I like baking desserts. Bread other than biscuits, I am very, very careful. Like if we did I have a friend who makes these amazing sourdough breads, and she posts them on Instagram, and I'm envious because I don't have, bread gives me a little anxiety. It just looks like it's a very exacting science, and it's a lot of kneading, and yeah, too much. Biscuits, however, not a problem. So I've already measured out my flour and my sugar and my salt. I am going to add in my baking powder. Put this away. And then I'm going to add my buttermilk. This is just reserved flour for my station. I'm going to add in my buttermilk. This is again 2/3. Actually, I'm going to stir this up a little bit. This is just 2/3. All-purpose flour, nothing fancy. I'm going to add in my buttermilk. And I should say, is anybody with me on the biscuits yet? Should I slow down? I can actually pause if you want me to. And we can do, because the biscuits are pretty quick.
We're not getting any signals, so I think we're okay.
Okay.
I did get a question I wanted to ask you about. Someone was asking, and I think the answer is no, like you can't use the same seasoning flour in the biscuits that you use with the chicken, right? That's not a good idea, or is it?
No, no, that is just a separate measure. You use the same type of flour, obviously, but not, the flour that you yeah. No. Now I will say, I'm a little more cavalier with my flour when I add it to a bag or when I use it for breading. You can be more conservative and add as you need. If you're very conscious of, I don't want to overuse flour and just waste flour. I'll admit I'm a little more wasteful, but I don't use flour that often. So keep that in mind as you are making this. But for this, yes, you want to use fresh, clean, unused, untouched flour. So again, I already have my other ingredients in here. I'm just going to add the buttermilk. Let me try. I'm right-handed. Let me try actually doing this way. And stirring to combine.
I don't think you shared this yet, but like maybe you did. Where do the biscuits come from? Where's like the source?
In terms of history?
Well, I guess maybe both. Like, yeah, why are they significant? And then like, where did this particular recipe come from? Is it one you've done in your family, another one you found? Like, how'd you pick this one?
So again, biscuits are easy to transport. They're oftentimes made for breakfast. They're easy to transport, served with gravy. a lot of recipes, or even if you go to restaurants, you'll see biscuits and gravy. My recipe is actually, I did a little dabbling, and I combined two a little bit in a sense. So one of my absolute, I think I was getting ready to tell I'm sorry, we were in the breakout together. My friend from Richmond, I was getting ready to share Cartier Brown is my new just Food Network love. I think because we share a lot in common. When she's cooking, she also tells stories. So I appreciate her tremendously. But it's hers and just another one that I've seen over the years. My grandmother was the baker. I actually need to see if I actually have her biscuit recipe. She actually did not make biscuits often. That's actually not something that was made too often in my family. And there are some families that is a staple. So that's one thing that I emerged and made over the years, I should say. So, and again, I don't want things that require me to let the batter sit and all that. That's too much. No. Simple, can make it quickly. The other thing I like about this one is I think the measurements were important so that I don't have 50 million biscuits, because I do have it was a biscuit, but it's more like a yeast roll recipe, and it's simple, but it makes way too many of them. So I have a whole army of biscuits when I'm done. So this is a lot simpler, makes less biscuits, less of them lying around the house when I should be spending time with my mirror. I have a mirror exercise thing. So that's that. But in terms of the actual item, it just pairs well and often was used, often made with chicken. It actually I don't know much of the origin of it other than it's the ingredients are very simple. So I'm adding my shortening. This is the only time I use shortening is with biscuits. And the reason why I like this one is because one, it's just a smashing and rolling around. I'm actually going to use my hands in just a second. Sometimes you'll find that you can't quite do everything. Sure, this is out. Can't do everything with a spoon. So I'm getting ready to get in here with my hands. One more thing. I'm gonna wipe my station down. Let's see how much time. Alexa, how much time is left on my timer? Oh, so we have 2 minutes. 2 minutes on our oven tenders. So that'll be perfect because we gotta turn the oven down anyway. So I'm wiping this down because I'm about to put some flour on my counter.
We're getting a few questions about the shortening. Would you mind clarifying that for us again, please?
Shortening. Okay. Like what it is?
Oh, like which one / what you're using. We had several different questions of that variety. I'm just trying to summarize them.
Is it on here? Okay. Nope. Hold on. I'm getting the packaging for you all. I'm not brand ambassadoring, but I am just sharing. That's the brand I bought. It's Crisco. They have the butter kind. They have the it's all vegetable, but it's just Crisco shortening or whatever shortening you find at the grocery store. Nothing fancy.
Someone's asking, is it okay to use like cold butter or something like that instead?
So there's gonna be. I never actually have played around with butter in this recipe. It might be okay, but so for this one, I don't know. That's a good question. It won't not cook. How about that? But it might not rise as much. It might be a little different. The shortening kind of helps it add layers to it as well. So not quite sure what the butter will do. That's a good question though. fair question. I don't actually know the answer to that. I'm just dusting my counter. Some reserve, just regular flour that hasn't been anywhere else. Okay. Alexa, stop. Because my oven is a little, what's the word? It takes a little bit longer sometimes for things to cook. I'm okay if I just leave it in there for just a little bit before I take it out. But I wanted to get this prepared first. So we are getting dirty and sticky now. But I will take them out momentarily. But if you know your oven, go ahead and take them out. I know my oven, it's a little less, what's the word? It tends to run on the cooler side, so I let things stay in a little bit longer. So got your nice floured surface. I tend to add more flour when I'm doing this because it makes it a little easier to manage. One thing again I like about biscuits, if you add more flour, it's not the end of the world. I do have a rolling pin, but you don't need it. Just smash it out with your hand. It is okay. If you have a rolling pin, by all means use it. I'm not going to. Biscuits are rustic, so they don't have to be perfect. They can be a little less exacting, if you will, in terms of how they look. I mean, I know some chefs have rulers, and that's a little formal for me. Okay, so I do have some biscuit cutters, but you can use whatever you like. You can use a cup, and I'm actually going to try to decide on what size I want. But before I do that, whatever you're going to cook your biscuits in, go ahead and put that in the oven so that you can get your butter melted. You do want to melt the butter on your dish, if you will. I'm going to get a little bit of this dough off my hand so that I can maneuver and show you all. All right, so I have this. I normally would have Big Red, my cast iron, but I'm using just the style pan. I have a little bit of butter, not a little bit, but I have enough to coat the pan so that when I put my biscuits in it, they'll have something to stick on. You can opt to do a spray, a butter-based cooking spray, whatever you need, but just put it in the oven just so that the butter melts. Again, cast iron doesn't have to be this shape. It can be whatever baking dish you want. You can use a baking sheet. You can use a baking sheet as well. I would line that, but you don't have to if you did a baking sheet. But I recommend using something a little bit deeper if you have it. And now, take out our chicken tenders. A little flour on them. That's okay. So you can see the one on the end. So right when they come out, if you are feeling fancy, grab. I have some. I won't name the brand, but I have some just seasoning. It's got some sea salt, a little cayenne, and it's just it's called a Dirty South mix, but it's just got extra seasoning. You can hit these with a little bit of seasonal salt if you want. You don't have to. Again, if you're making the sauce with me, you really don't have to, but I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of this to add an extra layer of seasoning at the end. Not required, but it's also a good time when they're fresh out of the oven to add a little seasoning if you want. So let me move these out of the way. And our ones in the oven are almost done, actually. I know I'm supposed to. And to the person that asked about the pain, I have not forgotten about you. I just want to make sure we get our biscuits in first. I have not forgotten about you. Going to put these. So I'm going to put these away so that I have my oven back, my oven space back. Actually, we can just do this right now. Your parchment paper won't be hot, not too hot to handle. I put these away so that I can have more space. We will return to those momentarily. And I'm going to move this out of the way. My pan is still hot, so already. That's out of the way. And don't forget about your butter in the oven. That's got to come out in a matter of a minute. But any questions before I cut and get ready for biscuits? You don't want to overwork the dough. I think that's in the recipe. That's important. A little bit harder to overwork biscuit dough, but you don't want to overwork it. Our air fryer's done too. Any questions?
We had a question about the consistency of the biscuit dough. What exactly should that look like?
It's going to be a little sticky, but you want to, if you should be able to touch it. I don't know if let me move my camera over a little bit. You should be able to touch it and it not come off too much in your hand. Make sure you flour it enough. It's a little sticky, but not really. You should be able to handle it. Like I'm putting my hand on it. The only thing I'm coming off with is flour, not the biscuit itself. Not really springy. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Not really springy. Just I wouldn't say it's dough. If that helps. It's not wash my hands. It's not shouldn't be springy like dough with yeast in it. It should just be you press on it, it moves, and it doesn't but it doesn't stick to your fingers. Biscuit dough again is very forgiving, so it's not as much of an exact science. I have two size biscuit cutters. I think I'm going to go with the smaller one. And again, if you're feeling like it's sticky to you, just make sure you add a little bit more flour. I'm going to do this. And I learned this from my favorite chef, Cartier Brown, Delicious Miss Brown. Do not turn the biscuit. Do not turn the biscuit cutter after you use it. There we go. Taking my pan out, butter's melted, so the bottom is all nice and coated. My house smells like all kinds of things right now. So we're just gonna cut, no fancy way. Turn it a little bit, but not too much. You're kind of just getting the shape. So there you go. Nothing too fancy, going straight in. You can, and I did turn that a little bit, sorry. You can roll out and make more. So like I'm gonna have leftovers. I can roll this out or flatten it out again, I should say, and make more. If I had a bigger pan, I prefer using, like I said, my cast iron. My cast iron is bigger, but it is currently occupied with another dish I made. All right. So again, even this is a little sticky, but even as I lift them up, they should not be sticking to the. Let me grab another pan and make these up too. They should not be sticking to the surface. So take our temperature down on the stove to 425. It's already set, obviously. Get my oven mitt to go back in. I have dough left over, but it's okay. Let's see. Putting that back in. Now let's talk an important topic, very, very important topic. What do you put on a biscuit? Preservatives. So strawberry jam that I got from a lovely Valentine's Day gift. And I have recently fallen in love with coconut jam. It is not germane to America, but it is wonderful. You can order on Amazon. You don't have to do this brand, but it is delicious. I love it. So with a little butter and a little honey, amazing. So that's how I like my biscuits. Again, biscuits can be savory, so you can put your chicken in the biscuit. Oh, I need to set my timer. You can put your biscuit in with your chicken, cut it in half, use them to sandwich together. Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes, starting now.
So while we are, let's check on our, these came out a little darker, but they're still good. These are our air fried tenders that took 20 minutes, and I did not do the egg and flour, just the regular tenders. I'm gonna take these out. And with our last few minutes, I'm going to do a quick demonstration on the stove. So my mother and I had a conversation about pans. As long as you have, I'm in love with this pan. It's the Our Place pan. As long as you have it's enough of a well in here to put some oil in, you're fine. So I'm gonna put that there for now while we wait on the other biscuits. I'm just going to grab a few of those strips for the person that wanted me to do something on the stove really quickly. I'm going to grab bird towel. Oh well. I'm going to grab some chicken back, and I'm going to do the 3 dredge again, and I'm going to do the rest of the chicken and put it right over in our pan. I'm going to use olive oil. Doesn't have to be a deep fry. You can deep fry, but I don't. It's not necessary. It's going to be crispy either way. I'm just going to do some olive oil in the bottom. Actually, I'm going to switch out. I have a little less olive oil than I thought. I'm going to use some vegetable oil, but I'm not going to deep fry. But if you're going to deep fry, you can use regular old vegetable oil. Some people like peanut oil. Just be careful. I don't deep fry much. I would just do, that's sufficient. I don't know, that would be not even a third of a cup, not even, maybe a quarter cup of oil in the pan. And I'm going to grab a plate. Any more questions while I'm showing off the pan version of this?
Yes, someone asked, can you freeze the dough and make it another time?
I would say yes, because I think biscuit dough does keep well. I wouldn't wait too long, maybe like a day or two. Well, if you freeze it, you can sit in the refrigerator and let it thaw out. I think it's fine. Most dough actually you can freeze. No, not all, but a lot of dough you can freeze. So I think that's fine. Yeah, I think it'll be fine if you choose to do that. And by the way, when you're done with these, they got to go in the trash, just so you know. Can't use them for anything else. So again, as I mentioned, if you're more exacting and want to be a little bit more cautious with your use of resources, then I would definitely not do like I did. So here is
Karen, I lost track of time and came in late. Is there a way to see the chicken from the beginning on YouTube or someplace?
Yes, we will be emailing everyone who is here a recording of this later on. Thank you for your question.
So I am going to.
Do we get that on email, Ruby?
Yes, there will be an email that will give everyone all the links to different things.
Thank you.
Can you use vegetable oil instead of shortening for the biscuits?
That I do not think so. I've never seen a recipe using oil for a biscuit in that form. I think it needs to be solid. Because you might come out with a consistency you don't want. So I don't think you can use oils for any kind of biscuit. I don't think it'll work in your favor. I think that is all of my chicken in here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead.
You also use lard.
Yes, you can. I am a non-pork person, but you can use lard. You can definitely use lard. I can honestly say I know I'm a Southern woman and I've never experienced lard, but you most definitely can. It will add a completely another dimension to your biscuit. All right. Just going to, write it down. So I'm doing the triple dredge because I still have a little bit left. And my egg. And to the person that asked earlier about not sticking, you just might want to, next time you make them, consider how much egg, how well you cover the chicken and the egg once you're transferring them over. Yeah, make sure this yellow. So this is the third way we're cooking it. Again, I didn't have as much olive oil as I wanted, but you can definitely use olive oil for this recipe, or for this version, if you will, for the light pan fry. Making sure. All right. All right. And then our last one. Uh-oh. Move these out the way. Put them in my sink so when it spills over, it doesn't spill over into my kitchen. Then, Ruby, Julia, do I have time for a quick sauce? Or am I taking too much of your time tonight?
No, we'd love that. I think if people can stay, you're more than welcome. If you need to head out, we understand. We'll send the recording, but let's learn.
Okay. I have a funny story about my sauce, if you will. A friend of mine was dating a guy, and she had a kind of a meet and greet, and we were all going to the movies together shortly after that. So she's like, bring food, we'll have a little potluck. So me being me, I made something that was quick and easy. This, and the little chicken tenders. I'm discarding things. And her now husband, but I think they were just dating at that point. I don't think they were engaged. He fell in love with my chicken tenders. He's like, wait, can we talk about this chicken? I was like, she's like, Karon, you can't steal my boyfriend. I said, I'm not stealing your boyfriend. My chicken is stealing your boyfriend. So from then on, until they got married, he didn't know my name. He kept calling me Sriracha chicken because I made a sauce and I made this chicken. So that's what he kept calling me, was Sriracha chicken, until they got married. I think he finally knows my name. But alrighty. So medium heat. We're gonna don't turn it too high. It's not a deep fry, it is a pan fry. I want to do a quick sauce now that I have space on my counter. Okay. With a quick. Actually, going to move this to the back. And while I have your attention, all right. 2 ingredients. Uh-oh, not all over the counter though. Some sriracha and some honey. This is from a local vendor here, but it's honey. Just whatever honey you have. Start out with your honey. Almost like a honey mustard, but it's a honey sriracha. You know, I'm from Atlanta. We like our sauces, aka Chick-fil-A. Let the honey dissolve just a little bit. I'll let honey melt a little bit before I add I'm multitasking. Do not try this at home. If you want to turn your chicken, and you start to see it's browning on the bottom, that's a nice color. My mother always talks about how she doesn't like dark-skinned food. So that's a nice color. She would approve. I got my honey. Sriracha is quite strong. It's hot, but it's a good kind of heat. Still honey in there. I'm just melting out or pushing down my Alexa. How much time is left on the timer? Okay, we got a little under 4 minutes for our biscuits. Just making sure my honey dissolves. And then I'm going to grab, I have a little bit of a what is this called? A grinder. That's a garlic salt grinder. I'm gonna add a little bit of that in here. And I can turn it down low. We don't want it boiling. That's all you really need. Now, because I am me, I need to taste test really quickly. I'm gonna grab a clean spoon out my drawer just to make sure. And this is one of those things you can taste and make sure you like it. If it's too hot, add some more honey. Oh, but that's perfect for me. All righty, and that's it. Just honey, and hit the sriracha. If you have any garlic salt or just even regular salt. And it's a nice little heat treat, if you will, if you like a little heat. And I'm gonna turn it off. You can drizzle it. You can use barbecue sauce at this point. You can use nothing. You could just go naked with your strips.
Can we pop in a few more questions now?
Absolutely.
So, someone was asking, can you do the triple dredge option in the air fryer?
Yes, absolutely. I just, again, I just showed you a shortcut when you don't feel like it. Let me see. I have some already out. If you don't feel like panko, people in Atlanta will be able to find this. I think what is the brand? I think this is White Lily cornmeal. This is another option. I love it but I can't find it here in Maryland. So I made sure I got some of this before I left home. But cornmeal will work as well if you like that. Yeah, you can definitely do the triple dredge in the air fryer. Not a problem. Same time, amount of time. Actually, I did that with the oyster mushrooms, triple dredge, as I call it.
And then someone was asking, how long do you fry the chicken on each side?
5 minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. It's going to depend on the size of the tender. So I'm letting this go a little bit longer, but also monitor. I haven't turned this up above medium heat, so I want to make sure that it doesn't overcook. The other thing I would normally do, and these are actually almost done. Again, the idea with tenders is they can't be too thick, so they won't take too long to cook. The other thing I would normally do, to make sure, I would actually, if I had my cast iron, this is not oven proof, not oven appropriate, but I would take that and I would put it in the oven to finish off. So if you had a dish that like a cast iron or an oven proof pan that you could take and put it in the oven, I would lower the temperature to about 350, 375 and let it cook that way. So you know you're not browning it on without cooking it from the bottom and the top. So you're getting the heat from the bottom and the top. I do want to plate up and show you all the chicken timbers. Oh, biscuits are done. Well, they should be done. Alexa, stop. I'm going to take a peek really quickly. I'm going to let them sit for just another minute or two, but they're just about done. This is when you would want to get some butter ready. But I did want to take these off. That's something I should have done, but I didn't tell you all to do, and that was me. I did tell you to do it for the air fryer, but if you choose to use some parchment paper or foil, make sure you add just a little hit of oil, like I did for the air fryer, on top of these. So here are my 2 versions. We're almost 3 now. It's interesting. Alrighty, so I've got the baked ones are here, and I hit those with a little bit of seasoning on top. These are the air fryer ones, and these had olive oil on them before they went into the air fryer. And my ones in the back, not quite ready yet. Make sure I turn that down just a little. Turn that down a little bit. And we're almost ready to take our biscuits out. Any other questions?
We had someone ask earlier, do you think if you froze the flour, you would be able to reuse it?
The public health person in me says no. Again, like I said, I would focus more on it more. I would actually, so I have done before when I've made this is I will add flour as I go. So I'll add a cup, bread it, and go from there. Because again, I was demonstrating, I did not measure, but I would not reuse the flour. That's the public health person in me. Now somebody else might tell you otherwise, but I don't want to go on record and saying that's okay. Okay. I can see. Uh-oh. That piece goes off. That's okay. I turn it down a little bit. All right. Take this off. Let me get you a little container. Any more questions? Because we're in the home stretch.
We had someone ask if you have any recommendations for how to make like a gravy that would go along with this potentially.
So, gravy is best made when you cook a meat first. So if you did like and not the way we're cooking the chicken. The best way to do it is if you had like some steak or some pork, if you will, and you brown the meat in a pan, and then you would go back and get that flavoring out of the pan with some butter and some flour, and that's how you start a gravy, a good gravy. You want to get those meat giblets, if you will, as my dad calls them, and use that to make your sauce. That would be my recommendation. Oh. I need my biscuits cool a little bit. They're a little shorter. Okay. They're still done though. That's a good question. Yeah, that's gravies generally have. I mean, you could buy gravy, but generally they come from making a meat and browning the meat and then using that as the base, and you make like a roux with the flour and butter, that kind of way. So, any more questions?
Would you mind clarifying one more time about the process of like soaking in the buttermilk and like what happens after that? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So again, actually, I have that bag. I can just show you. It's still soaking. So I still have my butter. Still have this soaking. I may make this tonight. I will definitely want to make it by tomorrow afternoon. But I took enough to cover the chicken. How about that? Enough to cover the chicken. And then I hit it with about maybe 10 or 12 hits of the hot sauce. You don't have to do that. It doesn't really add a drastic flavor. It adds a little bit of flavor, but not a lot of heat. And I just let it sit. Again, I do recommend using a baggie for this though. If nothing else, I understand we're, conservation, trying to not make sure our carbon footprint is not as prevalent, but I do recommend using a baggie to just soak it. You'll find that your chicken will come out very tender. And yes, you can let it sit for a little while. You don't have to do it immediately. Like if you think about it, oh, I want to do it tomorrow night, you could start it tomorrow morning and it's fine. Let me check on this chicken. It's a little browner than I want, but it's okay. So this has been about 10 minutes or so. No, sorry, about 15 minutes cooking time. This is where, if you are concerned about whether or not it's done, you can always do. I will admit, I'm not ashamed to admit this. I will. Well, you can see what I'm. Oh, you can't see at this point. I will and have peeked into the chicken. It's okay, If you're leery of if it's done or not because you got the breading on it, you can peer into it with a knife, or you can just smash it a little bit just to make sure you don't see any pink, and you're good to go. I generally know, as they say, the ancestors whisper to me and let me know it's done, but I still will check. And there you have it. Let's see. So again, I used vegetable oil this time. You can use olive oil if you want to cut back. Turning that off. So there are my chicken 3 ways. Again, I use the I only used the breading for the air fryer ones. I did not do the triple dredge. So let me move that up here. And then, so you can get a nice clean shot of everything. These biscuits aren't tall, and it's okay. They're gonna come out a little crispier, and that's fine too. That's how I like mine. But let's see. They smell amazing. Those are my biscuits. Move this out the way. And you have your sauce in the middle. Let's see if I can move. There we go. There we go. There's your meal. One last thing. Grab your butter of choice. So I'm finicky about my butter. I don't want it to have refrigerator taste. That is me. So I keep it in a baggie. But grab your little butter. If you want to be fancy, you would melt this a little bit ahead of time. We're not going to be too fancy at this point. I'm just going to grab a knife. Move this out the way for a second. Uh-oh. I want it to fall over. And I've just got it on the knife, not fancy. And we're just gonna rub it on top. Let it melt on top. You want this pretty soon after it comes out of the oven though. Give it a nice little hit of butter. Uh-oh. And the reason why I like these is because it's easy to, you're quick. They don't require a whole lot of ingredients. And you could just let it sit. There you go. Let it sit and melt into the biscuits. And that's it. Now let's see, anybody got anything to show? I'm curious. And my dog is right at the kitchen. Oh, let's see. I'll show you all where she is, if you can see. Oh,
that looks so good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Oh, my dog walked away. Oh, never mind. She walked
yeah,
away.
we can't see the dog.
She walked away. She knew I was talking about it, so she walked away. So
we're gonna add a few people to Spotlight. So if you've been cooking along and you want to show off, I'm gonna add you and invite you to just show off how it's going. Sandra, I'm gonna add you. Maybe you have something to share. Let's see, Georgette and Pamela, hold tight, and LaShanta. Oh my gosh, we have so many chefs. This is amazing. Wait, it's hard to find everybody. Okay, Pamela, let's add you. Tell us, anyone super excited?
okay. I'm super excited. I'm about to have a biscuit. Okay.
I know, these look so good. Anyone want to tell us about the process, lesson learned, like anything? Ruby.
It was great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, hold on. Everyone hold your biscuits or your chicken up close. I want to get a fun photo. Oh, and there's a dog too. Oh, keep the dog. I love the dog. Hi, dog.
Oh, see, Pamela did it how I really prefer to do it in the cast iron.
Wow. Sorry, I'm having definite okay, got the picture. You can all put it down. Thank you. Georgette, I would love to meet your puppy. Wow. Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I was watching along, so I didn't cook, so I forgot. I should have told you guys that. I'm sorry. But this is true because Chefy husband loves to cook. Her name is Truffles.
Her name is Truffles.
Oh my gosh, what a cutie. I love dogs. I want a pandemic puppy so badly.
See if I can get her in the camera. Hold on, guys. Let's see.
Yes, let's see.
She may not stay. Can you see her?
Oh, aw. Hello. What's her name? Or his name?
Her name is Lena Horn. Appropriately named. Very appropriately named.
That is fantastic.
There you go.
That is so fun. I'm gonna add Tony. I think Tony's got something delicious to show off. Let's see if that'll show off. But
mine too.
Yeah, this is great. Ruby, you see anyone else? Oh, Tony also has a dog. Whoa, hello. What's your name?
His name is Champ, and he thinks he's getting some food.
Oh yeah.
She does too. I told her.
Hey, Bill, where's butter? I need her.
So fun. The other day we made hamantashen, which are triangle cookies for the Jewish holiday of Purim, and our teacher told us about how her dog ate a bunch of them. So
of course,
watch out. They are hungry. Sherry, did you have a question, or you want to show us how it turned out? Make sure you unmute on the left. Oh, she's just showing us off. I wish I could unmute you.
You guys are very uniform.
Unmute.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank you because these came out perfect. I gotta get things.
Yours look they look very uniform. Oh, yes.
I am an epic fail person at biscuits, and they always come out tough, and these came out perfect. So I'm quite happy. So thank you so much.
Simple recipe makes it a whole lot easier.
I know. I think every time I don't want to even eat them because they're like tough as nails. So these will be greatly appreciated tonight for dinner.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. I am going to bake off the rest of mine. This was fun.
I don't eat meat, so I made my fried chicken tenders with tofu.
Yes. No,
But-
you were here when I talked about the mushrooms, right?
But I didn't have any.
These are, if you can find them, I recently just found these, but if you can find them, oh my gosh. I actually don't eat a lot of chicken either, actually. I'm mostly pescatarian, so I will actually be giving these away. There are people actually waiting for me to give them the call that they're done. But yeah, so
Well,
it works well with.
It worked good with tofu.
Yep.
And the dipping sauce was especially nice. So
Good.
thank you.
Mushrooms too. Portobello mushrooms are good too with it.
Yeah, I live in the country and it's hard to get special ingredients. So tofu was fine.
So the people that did their biscuits in the cast iron, you did it appropriately. You did it where
They're delicious too.
Yes, you did it the way you're supposed to.
Wow.
Yes.
Could I ask you if you use a certain kind of tofu?
Firm.
One more time?
Firm.
Okay. Thank you.
I cut it in pieces and pressed it first so that a lot of the water came out, so it cooked up crispy.
Yep.
Thanks.
He takes
I wanted to say thank you, Karon, for your inspiration and for leading us through this journey tonight. It was really lovely. And in celebration of Black History Month, it was just appropriate. I personally got to grow up in a mixed race household. My father married an African-American in 1964. So we were trendsetters. And we actually got to host Julian Bond in our home for dinner back then.
Wow.
And my brother, my older brother, got to host him.
Wow. I had the privilege of meeting him one time. I met him. I met the late Congressman John Lewis. I did meet him at my grandfather's church. My mother cannot find the pictures. But yeah, I got to meet him as well. And a fun fact, my great grandmother used to play baseball with Dr. Martin Luther King's mother.
Wow.
Played baseball together at Spelman College. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed.
Very much. And that sauce is killer.
It's simple. It's honey and sriracha.
Karon, are you going to teach anything else?
Julia, that's up to Julia and Ruby and everybody else.
Well, what should we request? What are your specialties? Can you make a pecan pie? I'm really craving that.
Really? Oh, I've made one once before, but that's not one of my specialties. I don't know, guys. You know what I made the other night? That's why my cast iron is occupied. I made a shepherd's pie that was delicious.
Oh, I love a shepherd's pie.
Made a good
Hi, everybody.
shepherd's pie.
Hey,
Yeah.
Pete, can you hear me?
That would be good to make.
That would be good.
Who's Brandon? Brandon's really excited to say hi. Say hi.
Brandon is my friend of many years.
Yes, and I would be remiss not to say something. It was fabulous. I am so excited because I bake, but biscuits are not my friend, but I'm going to try those biscuits next week. So I'm looking forward to those biscuits. And as I shared with I think her name is Pamela from up north, upstate, or whatever, I talked about, she was in my breakout room. And so I just told her about how much you cook for me and how much you helped me to appreciate non-meat meals. So like I was talking about the tofu fried brown rice. So guys, if you want a good tofu fried brown rice, you got to try it. Her turkey meatloaf is amazing. Let's see what else. Oh, Coca-Cola cake. That's a great dessert that she makes.
Wait, what?
So I think we should have like a dessert.
Yeah, can you make can we request your meal that she makes for you?
Oh, hey, yeah, that'd be great. And see, I'm kind of sad that I'm not one of the recipients tonight of those chicken tenders and biscuits. I'm down in Georgia, up in Maryland, but she owes me a meal now.
I do? Okay.
Yes, you do.
When you come to Maryland.
I'll come just for my biscuit and my strips and my Coca-Cola cake.
Oh, okay.
But awesome job. And to everyone that cooked along with you all, you make my mouth water. You all did a great job. It's beautiful. I want some. I'm coming to everybody's house. I'm doing a road trip.
Rob,
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've laughed and cried this hard in a long time. You're my new favorite.
Mine too.
Brandon and I used to be neighbors in the same complex.
And I'm actually behaving tonight, so I'm being a good boy tonight.
Yeah.
Question. Are we asking kind of
stories about me? That's why I keep him around.
Yes.
We have a
Where
question.
can we get that tofu?
Just quick. I have a quick
brown
question.
rice recipe.
Give me a week. Give me a week. Caught up on life.
You got her in trouble, Brandon. Now you got
A question about my biscuits. So my biscuits felt really, really salty. Was I supposed to use a tablespoon of salt?
How much salt did you use?
1 tablespoon. Was that the right amount? That feels like a lot, and it tasted salty.
They tasted salty.
That's the right amount? A tablespoon? I don't even think I used a tablespoon of salt in chicken.
Mine was salty too. I did the tablespoon too.
I don't use a tablespoon. I just did a teaspoon.
You actually don't have to. You don't have to add the salt.
And how much did you add to yours? Do you remember how much salt you added to yours?
No, it's one of those eyeball things. I may have grabbed a pinch and that's it, but
a tablespoon's a lot of salt.
I just do a teaspoon. I can't do a tablespoon. I look at Paula Dean's and she uses a lot of salt, but I do a teaspoon only.
Okay.
Yeah,
that might have been.
Yeah, I would think a teaspoon of salt would be.
That might be
more
a
than
typo
sufficient.
error on my end.
And yeah, I would think a teaspoon of salt in a recipe because not many baking recipes calls for more than a teaspoon of salt.
Right. I think it might have been a typo in the recipes we got.
A tablespoon is too much salt. Yeah,
It's
so
too
I would
much,
think-
right? Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
would
not
say-
crazy.
I would say
How did your chicken turn out?
Chicken. It was kind of light colored, and I needed some more salt. Look, that needed more salt. So this is what it looked like. It was really light. Did I not put oil on it?
Listen.
No, that's a pretty color.
That's
You don't.
fine.
Yeah,
My
you
mom
don't-
prefers lighter skinned
Yeah.
chicken. That's fine. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that color. It doesn't have to be dark.
I would probably cook it a minute or two less. It felt a little dried out, especially at such a high temperature. It felt a little dry. I would put a lot more salt, and I would kick up the cayenne or some kind of seasoning, and I would cook it a little bit less.
Also, another thing too that Karan mentioned about someone asked earlier about the timing of the buttermilk. The longer it sits in that buttermilk, the more tender it'll be because the acid from the buttermilk helps to break down the protein in the chicken, so it makes it more tender. So if you can sit it overnight in the buttermilk, that'll actually break it down really well. So if you do cook it longer, and let's say you're not really mindful, you will be at less risk of drying it out. That buttermilk.
And I think I'm gonna do that flour. I think I'm gonna do that flour dredge she did for the stovetop. That looked good. Now that looked like chicken tenders I'm used to seeing. This looks like Weight Watchers chicken tenders. I want.
You want the real deal. Yeah. Now, also, I know Karan put in there. You had the cayenne. Was it garlic powder?
I did.
I'm not cayenne. I'm sorry.
Paprika.
So that's where you can. I did chili pepper flakes.
Okay, chili pepper. That's what chili pepper flakes. Now with the seasoning, you also could probably play around with maybe like a. Did you use a seasoned salt or something like that?
So there's a couple things. I did a couple things to show a couple of ways. So I season the flour. And then after it comes out, I season it as well. I think I was saying I hit it, but you got to hit it right after it comes out of the oven. That will, because it'll absorb.
Now, see, one thing,
you can do it both ways.
Now, one thing I do when I do a dredge, when I do a dredge like Karan did the 3, what I always do, because I like stuff. We're both Southerners, but I like heavily seasoned stuff. And so what I would do is, if I'm using a dredge, I would season it the night before and let it marinate so that the seasoning gets into the chicken, so that when I do put it in the dredges, some of it kind of comes off. I still have the flavoring in the chicken as well as in the coating.
That's part of the hot sauce too. The hot sauce doesn't make it hot; it just makes it.
So
Yeah. But no, you definitely. There's a couple ways, and so I try to make sure I'm conscious of people's preferences. So air fryer was quick and easier, less stuff to handle. The pan is probably what I've done the most. And she said Weight Watchers. Listen, it is. And that's why I showed you 3 ways. 3 ways. So, and then like I said, some people like, they want to have a good sauce. So I made sure to, give you all some, sauce options, and then have a chicken that's less overpowering. So, well, Shonda, hit it. And,
Now, I do
my
have a
favorite,
question,
Lowry's.
Karon.
Lowry's. I don't have any, but hit it with some Lowry's at the end. Julia, Julia.
Yeah, Karon, I do have a
I'm
question.
I'm like, I don't want to interrupt. This is like you three are hilarious. Keep going. Brandon, what else? What else?
Karon, I do have a very important question. You showcased some strawberry fig preserves that you got for Valentine's Day for someone. I mean, is there someone that you may want to shout out for purchasing those for you, maybe?
I don't know where I put it. Where did I put it? I put it. Oh,
Brandon, are you a secret admirer?
Not the secret admirer, just a great, great friend and brother. And so, throughout the year, we like to surprise each other, just brighten each other's day. And so I figured, this is like the perfect time for me to get a nice basket. So, she probably can't say it, but I can say it. That came out of Harry and David.
Ooh.
And so Harry and David sells, she probably was supposed to endorse it because she was the presenter, but I wasn't a presenter. So it came from Harry and David.
Brandon, I don't know if you're ready, but you're auditioning live now for future hosting of our classes. I think we could get some emoji reaction if we're into
makes shortbread. Brandon makes shortbread and
red velvet cake and key lime cake and other little things like that.
He is the baker. I dabble in baking, he bakes.
Wow.
Is that where the honey came from?
Say that again?
No, I didn't do
said,
that.
is that where the honey also came from? Is Harry and David?
She said the honey. I think you got it from a local.
Oh, the honey. No, the honey I got, or the coconut jam. There's a honey.
I think you use the honey in the sriracha. In the honey.
This is from a vendor here. She's based in Maryland. This is the honey I happen to have. It's really good in tea, but I also like it in my cooking as well. So I just happen to have. Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything special though. Doesn't have to be special honey.
I do have a favorite honey. Everywhere we all live has like gourmet, amazing local honey, but I'll put it in the chat. We actually did a class with them back in the fall, Be Wild Honey, and they did a tasting, and it was really, really cool. So we may do that again, but I love their small batch North Georgia honey. Just recently ordered myself some orange blossom, which was like a combination of Florida and Georgia in one.
Nice.
So, and we have no sponsors, just for the record. Tradition Kitchens is all volunteer led.
I know.
We don't make any money. We just give with the goodness of our kitchens. So thank you, everyone. Any final questions or thoughts? Oh, thank you for the applause, Beth. That is very kind of you.
I have another question about that jam. Is it jam or preserve, or is it strawberry from your gift?
This is made in Thomasville, Georgia. Ooh. It is a strawberry fig fruit preserve.
Thank you.
It is made in Thomasville, Georgia. Blackberrypatch.com.
Karon.
Yes.
I especially liked your stories about Pascal's. I grew up in Atlanta in the late 50s and 60s, and my mom used to have lunch. She was a professor at school social work at Atlanta University. So I heard a lot about Pascal's over the years, and it was great. It was great to hear that story. I knew what you were going to say when you started describing it. I said to David, I said, she's talking about Pascal's. It's been 60 years, but
yeah,
remember.
Is Deacon Burton still around in Atlanta? No. And Mary Mack's Tea Room?
Oh, Mary Mack's is still there. Yes, and it has new ownership actually. And they've been hurting, like all small restaurants have been struggling, but they're working hard to keep open. Thanks everyone for your kind comments. We did open the chat at the end. We appreciate you understanding. Our chats have gotten a little out of a little chaotic in past classes, and so we needed to manage them tonight. So we hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. And thanks, Ruby, for monitoring and fielding our questions.
Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you.
And Karan, you are amazing as usual. It sounds like we have some dreams for future
Thank
classes,
you.
co-hosted by Brandon or facilitated by Brandon.
Yes.
And Julia, when that contact goes out, that will be the video that goes out to all of us again.
Yes, everyone will get a video and the recipe. Yes, so we have our cooking library. It's online and accessible for anyone to view. So let me put it in the chat. So you can go there, and all our videos are on YouTube and all the recipes, so you can cook anytime you want with us and we watch things. So we try to get it up within like 24 to 48 hours. Oh, last thing, if anyone is free on Sunday, I forgot to make a plug for my favorite food holiday. It's called National Muffin Day.
Yes.
And actually, the Myers family, I want to give a shout out to their son, Aaron, who has been an amazing participant.
Alexa, stop timer.
And joined us in the past. But anyways, we'll send it out in the email, but you can come bake muffins with us and we would welcome that. That is it. Ruby, anything else to wrap us up? I know people have had to go.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who was able to join us. This was so awesome. And I think that's pretty much it. This was great. Thank you for joining us.
Well, and I'll put in a plug for, I use this sometimes as well.
What was it?
Goes junkie.
Kosher salt?
No. Oh, actually, yes. I use kosher
I know
salt.
I just can't see.
Oh, so let me do like they do on the thing, on Instagram.
Garlic salt.
Yep. It's a grinder.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Carol.
Bye.
It was
Thank
great. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Around Silver Spring
Bye.
sometime.
Bye.
See you around Silver Spring.
Shanti, yes. Oh, yes.
We'll have to
Come on
connect.
up. I'm in Forest Glen.
I know exactly where that is. That's so crazy. Thank you.
At the right next to the metro.
And they're gonna give us your information, like your social medias and all that.
Sure. Let me hold on. I don't know if I can do it in the chat. Hold on.
You can
send a stalker. I'm just saying you might have picked up a stalker.
I know. I wanted to know where Brandon lives in Atlanta so I can socially distance hang with him.
He's in Albany.
Oh.
Albany. He in Albany.
Oh, excuse me, Albany. Yes. Yes, Albany. Yes. He and I went to grad school together.
Oh, I should have played like Who's Known Karan longer game.
You have. You have.
It's okay. He was so excited.
He's known me. We went to grad school together.
That's so sweet. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you everyone for your energy and excitement. Have a safe evening and stay warm wherever you are.
Yes.
All right, Karan, you're the best. Talk soon. Thank you, Ruby. Bye-bye.